From FedEx Field in Landover, Maryland, it's the NFL on CBS. And Week 16 pits the Denver Broncos against the Washington Redskins. And today's game is being broadcast in Spanish, where available, using the SAP button on your television. The kick is next on CBS. Merry Christmas, happy holidays to all of those celebrating. Back with you from FedEx Field on this gray, crisp, cold afternoon. Temperatures right in the mid-40s as the Washington Redskins win the toss. They elect to defer, and so it will be Denver football to get the party started. Spiro Dedes, Adam Archuleta. There's two teams that will not be in the NFL postseason getting together. Two proud franchises in Denver and Washington. Devontae Booker will take a knee, and the Broncos will start from their own 25-yard line. So here comes Brock Osweiler. Came in late first quarter and turned that deficit, the 10-point deficit, into a 25-13 win last week in Indianapolis. Led 4 different scoring drives as he turned in one of his better games of his NFL career. And starters up front, Garrett Bowles, the rookie, a starter from day one, overcoming that early season high ankle sprain. Has been very good for them. And Benny Fowler, one of 4 healthy wide receivers. No Emmanuel Sanders or Cody Latimer today. Both players are out and not traveling with the team. A pickup of a couple for C.J. Anderson, who was a monster in the win last week. Matt Ioannidis, one of the headliners for this Washington defense, that has had to deal with a lot of injuries. No Zach Brown, the leading tackler on this team and in the NFL. He's out. And so they have to go to Martrell Spate. Spade, I beg your pardon, making the start. DJ Swearinger, of course, the big free agent acquisition in the offseason, living up to the billing. He has been one of the few bright spots for this Redskins defense. This is Anderson trying to bounce to the outside, but very little room to maneuver as he is brought down by Spate and Zach Vigil, who expects to get some heavy work today in the absence of both Zach Brown and Ryan Anderson.
Well, for the Denver Broncos, they want to take a page from what they did a week ago against the Indianapolis Colts, where the running game, and that's really what their identity and what they are trying to be this year. The running game to take over, be the focal point of the offense, and that allows the pressure to come off of their quarterback, Osweiler.
Something we touched on in the open. We'll see how it plays out as Osweiler works from the gun on 3rd and 6. Well protected, goes to his check down. This is Anderson out of the backfield. Needed the 35, but he is about a yard short. So a good start for this Redskins defense, forcing a 3 and out as Josh Harvey Clemens, the rookie, 7th-round pick out of Louisville, there for the tackle.
A huge start for the Redskins, because last week the defense was on the field for 80 plays, and we asked DJ Swearinger, the defensive captain, about playing all those plays, and that's kind of been a trend here for the last couple games. So very nice to see them get off the field early.
Riley Dixon, the second-year punter, doesn't get a lot of leg on that one as it will careen out of bounds along that Denver sideline. Jamison Crowder watches it bounce. Not one of Dixon's finer punts, just 34 yards as Kirk Cousins comes onto the field for the first time. He was in the headlines all this week. Of course, that endless talk that Redskins fans are used to the last couple of years. His contract status, where will he be playing next year? Could it potentially be in Denver? No big loss up front. Trent Williams, their left tackle, is out, placed on IR, and so Ty Nsekhe makes the start, the 3rd-year man. Samaje Perine, dealing with a groin injury that he tweaked in practice on Thursday, is up, making the start. But expect to see a lot of Capri Bibbs, the one-time Denver Bronco, today, as Perine is tackled there by Shaquille Barrett. How about this Denver defense? Domata Peko, selected this week as a Pro Bowl alternate, would be his first selection if he in fact plays the game in Florida. Von Miller, another terrific year, selected to the Pro Bowl again, his 6th of his career, 4th straight. And the back end features Aqib Talib, also picked to the Pro Bowl. He'll make his 5th appearance, and he's done it now the last 4 years with Denver. The Redskins lose a yard, and so 2nd and 11 as they snap it just outside the 30. Cousins hit on the release as that pass just kind of swigs out of his hands and falls incomplete. Heavy pressure by Shaquille Barrett, the 4th-year man out of Colorado State, back in a starting role today with the absence of Shane Ray.
Well, second play in a row that Barrett has made. The first play, he was able to beat the tight end and get into the backfield, and that time just a whiff out there on the edge, and that's one of those things that they do not want to see in this game and for the rest of the year is Kirk Cousins taking blindside shots.
Barrett making the start. Shane Ray with wrist injury as the Broncos placing him on IR this week.
Offense, number 85, 5-yard penalty, it's third down.
So Vernon Davis is the man penalized for Washington. Redskins have not been good on these 3rd and long situations. 3rd and 10 plays or more this season, just 3 for their last 31, as they have converted just at a 9% clip. 3rd and 16 after the penalty. Cousins, well protected. That pass a little bit high and incomplete. Off the hands of the intended receiver, Josh Doctson. And so both teams with a 3 and out. Aqib Talib was there on the tight coverage.
Well, they knew going into this game the challenge it was going to be throwing against this Denver Broncos secondary. Aqib Talib going to another Pro Bowl this year, his 4th straight. You have Chris Harris Jr. on the other side and Bradley Roby playing really well. They're going to have to make some contested catches in this game.
Tressway, the punter for Washington, 4th year out of Oklahoma. And this one takes a bounce and a tough play. There's Benny Fowler returning punts in a dangerous set of circumstances. 63 yards on the punt by Way.
Demaryius Thomas with the Denver Broncos. I want to wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy Holiday.
Broncos star Demaryius Thomas, 5-time Pro Bowler, begins the day 160 yards away for what would be his 6th straight 1,000-yard season. And when you consider all the instability at the quarterback position, another terrific year for Thomas in an offense that has really struggled. That pass from Osweiler right on cue to Thomas. And finally a first down for the Denver Broncos after the early 3 and out. 24 yards from Osweiler.
Bashaud Breeland is upset with himself because Demaryius Thomas just ran a great route. Breeland thought that he was going to go across the field and went to undercut it, but then Thomas breaks out to the outside and Osweiler is able to hit him on the sideline. So a really nice job of route running, but that was because Breeland guessed on the route and he guessed wrong.
Well, for many Bronco fans, Rod Smith still the gold standard in terms of wide receivers in franchise history. Thomas nipping at his heels in some major statistical categories as C.J. Anderson picks up a couple. What a crazy year it's been, of course, for the Denver Broncos. The head coaching change jumped out of the gates, 3-1 start, and then the unthinkable 8-game losing streak. First time that's happened since 1967. The change at the offensive coordinator post as Mike McCoy was fired. And you talk about a tough rookie year for a head coach. It's been that and more for Vance Joseph as he tries to navigate this team here through the late stages of the season. Osweiler right back to Thomas on 2nd down. And Denver able to move the sticks again. Josh Norman forces him out of bounds, a pickup of 10. And, you know, Mike McCoy was Vance Joseph's first call after he was hired, brought him in. This offense was humming at him 2 weeks into the season. It's just hard to believe that, you know, some weeks later McCoy is fired and everything had turned. Just all part of what has made this such a crazy year. Osweiler will work under the gun on 1st and 10 from the 45 as they move inside Redskins territory. This is Anderson as he sneaks close to the 40.
Well, the Broncos want to come into this game and get the run going because they've watched tape and they've seen some teams kind of be able to take advantage of the Redskins defense. Their linebackers have been able to get ran on a lot in this season, and I think one of the better run plays that Denver has in their offense for this game is pulling their linemen. Anytime that the Redskins have faced good pulling linemen, they've really struggled stopping the run.
Anderson is stuffed at the line of scrimmage. Martrell Spate making first contact for the Redskins defense. And, you know, we had a chance to talk with Vance Joseph for a couple of minutes earlier this week. And You know, he lamented some of the decisions he's made, and he talked about how difficult the year it's been.
It is. There's a lot that goes on being a head coach, obviously being your first time. I don't think they anticipated having to go through so many quarterbacks to try and get the magic formula. But anytime you have to let a coordinator go in the middle of the season, you know that something just isn't right.
Osweiler from the gun here on 3rd and 5. Steps up, under pressure, and that pass is incomplete. Intended for the tight end, Jeff Hireman. And so the Broncos drive stalls after a couple of big plays down the field to Thomas.
Top of the screen, Junior Galette in that low 4-point stance, who really has started to come on strong here in the last part of the season as a situational pass rusher, but is easily able to beat the left tackle, the rookie Garrett Bowles, and put some pressure on Osweiler.
Here's Riley Dixon on the punt. He'll try to angle this thing deep inside Skins territory. The penalty marker is thrown. Denver able to down it inside the 5. Well done down the field. As we'll await the call here from our referee today, Ed Hockley. A 37-yard punt, and perfectly placed that time by Dixon. It was Casey Kreiter who was able to tip it back for Denver's punt team.
Personal foul by the receiving team, number 47. Went out of bounds and blocked a member of the kicking team who was legally out of bounds. That's a 15-yard penalty. It's enforced half the distance to the goal. Redskins ball, first down.
All right, so Quentin Dunbar, the man penalized, as Junior Galette makes the early defensive play for the Redskins.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Southwest Airlines. Low fares, no hidden fees. That's transparency. New York Life. With the right guidance, everyone can be good at life. And by the 2018 Ford F-150, it doesn't just raise the bar, it is the bar.
Got some great family fun on Christmas Eve here in our nation's capital. Early stages, Washington and Denver. Merry Christmas, happy holidays. Hope everyone is happy and enjoying what should be a fun weekend around the country. 8:56 to play, just past the 9-minute mark. Tough spot here for Kirk Cousins and the Redskins, pinned deep on their own side of the field after the terrific punt by Riley Dixon. This is Samaje Perine, just able to get out of the end zone and avoid what would have been a disastrous safety for the Skins, a loss of a yard.
Well, here's why they're pushed back. Quentin Dunbar is one of the jammers on the outside, and once the receiver goes out of bounds, you are not allowed to go out there and make contact with the wide receiver. You have to allow him to come back into the field of play, and that's why they called the personal foul. So it's kind of a confusing description given by the official, but that's what happened.
Little play action from Cousins on 2nd and 11. That pass overthrown, intended for Doxson. Good coverage on the play by Chris Harris Jr., who has been a Pro Bowler each of the last years. He was picked this week as an alternate. We'll wait to see if he indeed gets his number called to play in the game, but disappointing year in that respect for Harris, who feels like he's been a Pro Bowl caliber player once again.
Well, he still played extremely well. He just wasn't attacked as much as he has been in the past. He plays inside because he does such a good job, but even at 5'10", he can go on the outside and make just as many plays, but the simple fact he didn't get attacked.
Cousins, all of his first 3, make it 0 for 4. That pass is incomplete. Intended for the tight end, Niles Paul. Talib was there on the coverage, and a ragged start for the Redskins as they go 3 and out now on their first 2 drives.
The Redskins wide receivers are going to have to find a way to beat man coverage, because Aqib Talib and Chris Harris, they're going to play you in press man the entire game if you give them the opportunity. You have to make some crossing routes, get into some pick situations, but I don't think these receivers can just line up snap for snap the whole game in man coverage.
Tough place for Tressway to punt, but gets some decent leg on it here. This is Jordan Taylor on a punting job a few weeks back after the struggles of Isaiah McKenzie with all the turnovers. 52 yards on the punt by Way, and a return by Taylor of 6. 8:01 left to play, opening quarter in D.C. Scoreless on CBS. The Broncos finally got something working on their last drive after the early 3 and out. And here they start with excellent field position inside Skins territory. This is Anderson, who was terrific last week, 158 yards in the win in Indianapolis. So how about Brock Osweiler today, making his 4th start of the season? It's been a long and circuitous route. Of course, drafted by Denver back in 2012, had that terrific late run in 2015 season, parlayed that into the $72 million deal in Houston, but that ended in disappointment. Traded to Cleveland in the offseason. They cut him and ended up signing with the Broncos just a couple of days before the opener. And today making his 4th start of the season. Started the 3 games earlier in the year when Trevor Siemian was benched, and Siemian going down with the shoulder injury last week. And the book on Osweiler, because of the way things ended in Houston and of course Cleveland, has been that he's been a bust a little bit the last couple of years. But Osweiler told us, look, I'm proud of what I've done. Division championship in Houston, they won a playoff game, and he's been very good, at least of late.
Yeah, he certainly had the opportunity, and again, he's had to learn a lot of different offensive systems. Everybody says if you sit and wait and watch, you learn so much, but you just don't get the same feel as if you go out there and play under live bullets.
3rd and 2, one play. This is Devontae Booker, and we'll have enough for a Denver first down. And for Osweiler, this is his chance to audition. Of course, the big question for Denver: what will they do at him at the quarterback position next season? And this is his chance.
It is a chance, but again, I don't know if there's anything here in this game or the next game that is going to convince anybody in this organization that the quarterback of the future is on this roster. I really think they're going to go out there and try and find somebody, because they don't want a top 5 or a number 1 defense and the talent on that side of the ball to go to waste.
Osweiler fakes. There's play action on 1st and 10. He's been good with his legs as he slides close to the 30. The hope is that Paxton Lynch will be able to play. Vance Joseph very candid, saying that, look, we need to see Lynch in either one of these final 2 games. Lynch, by the way, is up today and is available as their number 2 quarterback, but still not quite ready to start, as he still deals with the remnants of the high ankle sprain that have caused him to be on the shelf the last 3 weeks. And Lynch, of course, a former 1st-round pick, has made only 3 career starts since the beginning of 2016 when they brought him in. This is Booker again, able to get downhill, and Zach Vigil on the tackle, a pickup of 6.
Well, how about Devontae Booker, a guy that, again, is getting an opportunity to play here in the last part of the season. He has made some really nice plays in the passing game, had a beautiful hurdle that should have been a touchdown last week but was called back. But a guy that brings up a speed element to this offense and should be quite productive for the Broncos.
Broncos right now leaning on that ground game. 6th straight run play called on a 3rd and 2. That's Booker again. And Denver able to move the sticks again. So a good start. Booker, who missed all of camp in the preseason with that fractured wrist early part of the year, slowly starting to find his way in this Denver offense.
A beautiful cutback right there on 3rd and short. Everything was stacked up to his right side, but I don't know how he saw that backside hole, had a nice little jump cut, and picks up the 1st down.
It's been all rush on this drive for Denver. Lynch over the middle. That's C.J. Anderson on the catch, but he is brought down immediately. So Adam, you talked about it right at the top. Denver needing to kind of go to the ground and pound, and so far that's exactly been the case. That was their 1st pass on this drive.
Well, you go back in the change in bringing in Bill Musgrave and making him the offensive coordinator has been a change of identity. They played a lot more snaps with their fullback and multiple tight end sets and really want to try and be a downhill running team. That's the formula that they want to be and that they feel will be successful for their quarterbacks.
Devontae Booker splits out at the bottom of your picture on 2nd and 6. Osweiler as Washington giving chase. That's Junior Gillette coming from the blind side. Osweiler able to run and actually pick up 2 yards in the play. Well done with nowhere to throw it down the field.
Osweiler looking for his tight end Hireman here on the backside, but it was well covered. You have dropping linebackers getting in the zone. You have DJ Swearinger over the top with pressure coming from Osweiler's right side. So a really nice job of the back seven for the Redskins, giving Osweiler nowhere to throw the football.
9th play of the drive that began at the Skins 46.
Alert sprint out pass to the right.
3rd and 4. Osweiler throwing right. This is Booker out of the backfield, as the Broncos needed to get to about the Washington 11. Zach Vigil and DJ Swearinger on the tackle, as Booker is short and it'll be 4th down.
It looks like Vance Joseph thought for a minute maybe he would try and go for it there on 4th and 1. This Redskins secondary, I thought watching last week's game against the Arizona Cardinals, really played an excellent football game. They were extremely physical. They tackled well and really didn't give Blaine Gabbert anywhere to throw the football. And so far in this game, they're playing very well.
Here's Brandon McManus, who has had his struggles this year. He's been one of the better kickers the last couple of years, but 8 missed field goals. This time he is good from 31 to get the Broncos on the board first.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by the Home Depot. More saving, more doing. And by McDonald's. I'm loving it.
The downtown holiday market in Washington, D.C. Some locals braving the rain and the cold to get in some last-minute Christmas shopping last night. I have to get to the mall as soon as I get back home. I'm sure you got some last-minute Christmas shopping to do as well.
Responsible adults get their shopping done early, Sparrow. You know, but
Merry Christmas to you too, Adam.
Yeah, no kids. I know how it goes.
This one is booted into the end zone by McManus, and Cousins will have it from the 25. Well, on December the 5th, the Washington Redskins teamed up with the U.S. Marine Corps for their Skins Santa Shop. The team hosted over 200 local elementary school children for holiday activities, with the locker room transformed into Santa's workshop. The kids even got to dress up the players as their own personal Christmas tree with all the trimmings. Nicely done by the Skins. And so they do so much for the community here in the Maryland/DC area. And Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays to everyone with us today on CBS. 1st and 10. Can Kirk Cousins in this offense get something going? That pass is incomplete, right through the hands of the former Denver Bronco, Capri Bibbs, who was not bashful with some of his comments this week. Bibbs making his Skins debut last week against Arizona, but said that the Broncos, Adam, made a huge mistake in letting him go.
I think he's a little bit motivated here and ready to kind of show what he can do. Now, it's interesting because, you know, he was featured in the passing game last week, but coming out of Colorado State, he was not a pass-catching back. He only had 8 catches his entire senior year, but maybe he's starting to reinvent himself a little bit here.
And the 36-yard touchdown catch in the victory here last week against the Cardinals. Cousins slinging it on 2nd down, and that pass is caught. Jamison Crowder with his first reception. It's a pickup of a half dozen to set up a 3rd and 4.
Production in the passing game, consistent production, has been hard to come by. We talked about, you know, the loss of his 2 receivers from a season ago, Pierre Garçon and Deshaun Jackson. And Jamison Crowder has really been the only consistent, reliable receiver playing out of the slot. So there he comes again, puts him in a 3rd good and medium situation.
And Crowder had the 5-yard touchdown catch at the win against Arizona last week. Part of a solid afternoon that he had. Here is Cousins. He loses the sack. He's going to run forward, and he's got it. What a play by Cousins with his legs, as Washington able to get the 1st down, their first of this opening quarter.
Look at this. I don't even know what category you put this move into. You get an up, you get an under, you get a spin, you're going to split the double team, and you're going to get in the backfield and get pressure on Kirk Cousins. So far in this game, Von Miller has been able to put pressure on Cousins in 4 or 5 of his dropbacks. and they're going to have to try and figure out another way to slow down number 58 because he is firing off the ball.
Skins keep it on the ground here with P. Ryan. Told you about Von Miller, headed to the Pro Bowl for the 6th time in his career, 4th straight year. 3 first-team All-Pro selections.
His arsenal is incredible. He's got so many different moves. And, you know, a lot of guys kind of premeditate what kind of move they're going to do before the snap. But Von Miller is a guy that he kind of does it on feel, and he's able to read the tackle mid-snap and then hit the appropriate counter move. So he is deadly coming off of that right side.
Skins get one final playoff before the end of the quarter. Cousins going to take a shot, and it's batted down, intended for Doxson. What a defensive recovery by Marcus Rios, the rookie, undrafted out of UCLA, to save what could have been a Washington touchdown. End of one on CBS. Christmas Eve from Landover, Maryland. Short drive from downtown Washington, D.C. As we begin the second quarter, Denver in front of the Washington Redskins 3-0. Cousins and company facing a 3rd and 7. Some movement pre-snap. That was Zach Kerr coming
False
to
start
toss
offense, number 60. 5-yard penalty. It's 3rd down.
What officials say that Kerr was drawn off sides by Ari Kwanjo, the Redskins left guard. So they'll push the Skins back a little bit further. First quarter numbers. Washington didn't get their first down until very late in the quarter. After the penalty, 3rd and 12. As they snap it just outside the 35. Cousins well protected, then feeling the pressure, and that pass is incomplete. Intended for Bibbs out of the backfield. Good coverage by Brandon Marshall, who was right there. And this Denver defense that has been a group that's spent a lot of time on the field with all the offensive struggles, continues to lead the league in total defense.
This is a big reason why. Right now, Von Miller is unstoppable. Another up and under move. He's going to come inside and then still just get around the Pro Bowler, their right guard, Brandon Sheriff. So almost on every drop back, Von Miller is affecting Cousins.
Boy, that punt by Way nearly blocked. He's been very good angling punts inside the opponent's 20 the last couple of weeks. And nicely done here. 48 yards on the punt and a return of 5 by Jordan Taylor. Well, Friday and Saturday, CBS features some of the top teams in the country. 7th-ranked Kentucky, 4th-ranked Duke, and the #1 team in the nation, the Villanova Wildcats. 2 days of outstanding college basketball action coming up next weekend right here on CBS. Spiro Dedes, Adam Archuleta, rest of our CBS crew wishing everyone a Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. As you see some of the early numbers so far, turned in by Brock Osweiler. Broncos in front of the Skins 3-0. Denver continues to go to their ground attack. C.J. Anderson able to move that pile and cross the 25. Update time, we send it to New York. JB and Nate.
Lions postseason hope still alive.
That's right, and they say hope floats like a pass from Matt Stafford. Eric Ebron on the other side, 33 yards for the touchdown. That's number 26 for touchdowns when it comes to Stafford. The Detroit Lions, they lead 7-0.
Back to Spiro and Adam.
Well, Detroit, another team that had high hopes going into the season, have had to endure some disappointments. And Eric Ebron making some things happen for that offense. Anderson bounces to the outside. C.J. Anderson starting to put together some terrific games down the stretch of the season. A burst of 21 yards finally tackled by Josh Norman.
Some of these plays, the backers have had a hard time for the Redskins. Number 50, Spate, he falls on the ground. He gets a late read, and that little slip and fall allows the fullback to come up inside, seal that block, and then C.J. Anderson perfectly reads where to go with that ball, but taking advantage of linebackers that have been kind of revolving door here for the Redskins.
No Zach Brown, who's the league leader in tackles for the Redskins, and no Ryan Anderson, their rookie outside backer and 2nd-round pick. So a couple of big pieces that they are playing without today. Ryan Kerrigan and Preston Smith combining to tackle C.J. Anderson. Nicely done by Kerrigan. who is headed to his 3rd career Pro Bowl.
Well, at least they do have number 91, who, you know, we talk about the numbers that Von Miller has put up in his career, but you know, Ryan Kerrigan is pretty high on that list as well since he's been able to come to the league. He consistently gets after the quarterback, and that time he just runs down the play from the backside.
Former 16th overall pick back in 2011. 111 straight start, longest streak among linebackers. Andy Janovich, over the shoulder catch, perfectly thrown by Osweiler. It'll be a first down for Denver. We'll see where the officials spot it. It's a pickup of 17.
Play action again, taking advantage of the linebacker. That's Spate again that kind of gets lost a little bit, hesitates, gets caught in a pick, kind of in no man's land, and that allows the fullback to leak out there and get on the outside. You know, I thought the New Orleans Saints did a really good job of scheming against the linebackers of the Washington Redskins, and so far in this game, the Broncos doing the same thing.
Good start for Osweiler. This is Booker giving Anderson a breather. A second little gasp will get the Broncos close to the Washington 35-yard line. Appears to be an injured Redskin down on the field. It's Ziggy Hood, as the athletic trainers quickly come onto the field. Stay with us. Here at Landover, Ziggy Hood being escorted into the Redskins locker room. It is a right arm injury, and judging by the reaction of his teammates, it could potentially be something substantial, as they were quickly calling for those trainers at him to get onto the field.
You can see he reaches out there with that right arm. Breeland comes inside, and it just kind of gets pinned and maybe hyperextended, but that's certainly in a game like this, Week 16, you don't want to have happen.
Hood, the former first-round pick of the Steelers back in 09, becoming a central piece to the Skins defense. Osweiler on 2nd and 9. He evades the sack and just throws it out of bounds. C.J. Anderson was in the vicinity, covered by Spate. And it will be 3rd and 9 coming up.
They keep trying to take shots. Anytime they cross the 45, 50-yard line, the Broncos are going to try and go downfield. You see Osweiler get slung to the ground right there by Pete Robertson. But again, the Redskins secondary, who really simplified things last week after giving up a bunch of big plays in the 2 games previous, so far have been able to lock down the wide receivers for the Broncos.
Osweiler on 3rd and 9, over the middle, incomplete. They're intended for Isaiah McKenzie, the rookie, who's been down the last couple of weeks, inactive after he lost his punt return position to Jordan Taylor. McKenzie, of course, has had some turnover issues this season. The 5th-round pick out of Georgia. It was Kendall Fuller on the coverage.
That's one of those plays and where McKenzie has to flatten out his route, and if he cuts it more flat, then Fuller isn't going to be able to make that play by coming underneath. And well, how good of a season has Fuller had here for the Redskins?
Here's Brandon McManus, and they will fake it. Just kind of pooch punt it. Something you don't usually see, so would have been a 54-yard attempt, and it turns out a very good decision by Vance Joseph.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Lowe's. Hurry in today for huge savings on all things winter. Honda. Hurry into the Happy Honda Day sales event today. And by Forevermark. Discover the Forevermark Tribute Collection at forevermark.com.
Well, hard to believe January will mark the 30th anniversary of Super Bowl 22 between these two proud franchises. What a moment for Doug Williams, who would become the first African-American quarterback to start a Super Bowl and win the MVP. Samaje Perine on the play. Todd Davis able to force him out of bounds. There's Doug Williams, of course, calling some of the shots here for the Redskins. Now their senior VP of player personnel, working for owner Dan Snyder. And what a watershed moment for Williams in the NFL. And John Elway, as we mentioned, has some big decisions to make in the offseason, as Denver will miss the playoffs for a 2nd straight year. One play called here. Perine able to fight his way out across the 25, a first down, pickup of 10 to New York. In an update, here's JB.
Not a good streak.
You're right about that, JB. Came into this game 4 picks in 3 games, and right there is number 5, Jordan Poyer, trying to play Pat's destroyer. That's a pick 6. The Buffalo Bills up 10-3.
That's the DJ, Nate Burleson. Back to Spiro and Adam. Ryman Poole.
Poyer, the destroyer.
That's a description
There
that
you
certainly
go.
fills Poyer the season he's become. But I like that, Nate. Into the Ryman Christmas spirit. Here's Cousins under pressure, feeling it coming from the backside. That pass is caught. Ryan Grant. So a good drive for the Skins. The second time they've begun a possession inside their own 10. As Grant climbing the ladder for the 14-yard catch.
And that's the kind of catch that these receivers have to consistently make for Cousins. They haven't had that kind of production consistently on the outside, but that time Cousins was looking all the way to the other side of the field. He got some late pressure, but really a nice job by Grant to come down with that catch. And finally the Redskins able to get a drive going.
Only their 3rd first down of the half as they look for their first points. Cousins 3 of his first 10. He's completed his last 2. Slinging it. That pass is caught. It's Grant again. Up the seam inside Broncos territory. A pickup of 32. Finally tackled by Darian Stewart.
Oh, Ryan Grant again in the slot, this time working against zone coverage for the Denver Broncos. The free safety who was in the middle of the field, he completely got turned around. And he moved to the left side of the field, but then Cousins was able to hit Grant running up the seam, and another big play. Now, they did not have a lot of big plays last week, but this offense through the course of this season really has been defined by their big plays down the field.
Longest play of the day by far. Cousins so accurate over the last couple of years. Goes to his check down here. This is P. Ryan playing with that groin injury that he tweaked in practice on Thursday, as we told you earlier. Forced out of bounds by Shaquille Barrett. And Cousins, with all the injuries and instability around him, still finding a way to make some plays down the field.
Yeah, when you put on the tape, it's clear that he's got it, and he has great command and control of the offense. He knows exactly where he wants to go with the football, is tremendously accurate. They just need some consistency. Now, when they get in this part of the field, they love to take shots to their tight end, Vernon Davis.
Keep it on the ground here to P. Ryan. Davis has had some big moments for them this season, and an offense that has struggled for the most part. Davis still getting it done in year 12 in the NFL, a 2-time Pro Bowler, last picked in 2013.
He had that terrific start to the season, really was on fire in the first 4 games of the year. Production since Jordan Reed has gone out onto IR hasn't quite been there. They still target him downfield. They just have not been able to connect as much here in the later part of the season.
On 3rd and 2, that pass is caught. It's Davis taking on tacklers out of bounds at the 10. And Davis letting them hear about it at the end of that play. Jawing at safety, Will Parks, a pickup of 11. It'll be first down, Skins.
Nice little pick from his receiver, Grant. And Parks is forced to go underneath Grant and can't get over the top. And when you got a guy like Vernon Davis, who's still in year 12, can run like he can run, you give him a shot running to the sideline, and it's just too fast for a safety to try and catch up.
Former 6th overall pick of the 49ers back in 06. First 10 seasons in San Francisco. 1st and goal. This is P. Ryan trying to work his way inside the 10. This is Skins offense playing without their Pro Bowl left tackle. Trent Williams shut down this week with that right knee injury that's been bothering him for much of the year. Williams didn't play last week, and of course that's been another major headline with this team, all the different injuries, Adam, that they've had specifically to their offensive line.
Yeah, but if they can stay healthy next year, they really have some good pieces to be a pretty good offensive line. And so I think just getting those guys to play together is the key.
9th play of the drive. Cousins, end zone, incomplete. Off the hands of Josh Doxson, as Cousins trying to stick it between a very tight window between Roby and Thomas.
Well, Roby came diving in there at the end. Did he get his hand on it? No, that ball hits Doxson right in the chest. and a ball that he really needs to come down with. Capitalize on this opportunity. This is your best drive of the game. The offense has had some rhythm, some balance, some explosiveness. You've got to turn that one into 6 points.
It's one that Doxson will be thinking about tonight if they can't punch it in here. 3rd and goal. Cousins under pressure, buys himself some time and throws it through the back of the end zone. And it's incomplete. And so they will lament that Doxson drop. And on 4th down, Jay Gruden will send out his field goal unit.
Really challenging when you get in that part of the field, especially against a defense that has a back 7 and a secondary like the Denver Broncos, guys that are able to play man-to-man coverage. And when you have the opportunity to get points and you don't get it, it's hard to do it 2 plays in a row.
So here's Justin Hopkins recovering from that partially torn hip muscle that he sustained in mid-October. Returned from IR and on here as he converts a 26-yard chip shot. Redskins on the board, tied at 3 on CBS.
Spiro, I want to take a look at this. Let's take a look at the sleeve length here for this officiating crew on this nice little Christmas card. This guy right here showing a little bit of bicep. I like that.
Ed Hockley sending out his Christmas holiday card.
And then he sells out, puts on sleeves. Then he sells out during the game.
Well, I got to say, Ed Hockley is the gold standard for bicep talent in the NBA. Made it cool again to be jacked as an official. It's a little colder today in D.C. and in Landover, Maryland, so he is going with that long sleeve look. But Merry Christmas to Ed and these fantastic officials today. Devontae Booker able to cross the 10 and brought down just short of the 14-yard line, a return of 16. Adam, what have you seen so far from Brock Osweiler? 6 of his first 9, 61 yards.
I think the key is they want the running game to kind of take over. And the formula last week was throwing the ball 19 times and being able to use play action. And having C.J. Anderson is the guy that you kind of have to take care of. And so I think, taking advantage of the linebackers, using their backs, using the play action will suit the offense well.
One play call. This is Anderson showing the burst. All the way out to the 35-yard line. A pickup of 21 yards, and Anderson picking up steam as the Broncos have come down the stretch of the season.
Really an excellent cut and vision. C.J. Anderson, he says Spate go inside as he starts his route to the right side, hits the backside, and then just follows his fullback. His fullback today so far, Andy Janovich, has really had a terrific day blocking and getting up body position on the Redskins' back 7.
Nice little pass by Osweiler. Janovich, second time we've seen that route. Back to C.J. Anderson. Last week we mentioned 158 yards in the win over Indianapolis. 7th time he's been over 100 in his career. He started the day 142 yards away from his goal of 1,000. He would be the first Bronco to get there since Noshawn Moreno back in 2013. And boy, how good has he been the last couple of weeks for Denver.
Especially, they've kind of had throughout the season, kind of a 3-man rotation. But I think more as they tried to feature Anderson here in the last part of the year, the offenses look much better.
Osweiler on 2nd and 5. Pocket starts to collapse. Osweiler steps up and the pass is incomplete. Off the hands of Austin Traylor, the first-year tight end out of Wisconsin. And it will be 3rd and 5 for Denver. There's Osweiler, 4th start of the season, 3 starts earlier in the year after Vance Joseph benched Trevor Siemian. Came on in relief of Siemian late in the first quarter last week to lead them to the 12-point win.
No Emmanuel Sanders, no Cody Latimer in this game, so really Demaryius Thomas, who is lined up in the slot right here, is his sure reliable weapon in the pass game.
Only 4 healthy wide receivers. Up, Osweiler, football is loose. Washington has it. Zach Vigil on the recovery, and disaster for Denver.
This is number 91, Ryan Kerrigan, coming off of the right side one more time. He completely gets around Donald Stevenson, the right tackle. He had really good push from his teammates on the defensive line from the inside as Osweiler tries to split the defensive line but just loses control of the football. And the Redskins, who have really had a hard time in this season taking the ball away, get their first turnover of the game, and they set up Kirk Cousins inside the 40.
29th turnover committed by the Broncos this season. That's the second most in the NFL, behind only winless Cleveland, who's had 36 giveaways till this point. And Brock Osweiler during that stoppage was irate, yelling in the direction of his teammates seated on the bench along that Broncos sideline. So here's Kirk Cousins and company beginning inside the Denver 40. This is Bibbs trying to do it against his former team. Officials will say he was down by contact. Darian Stewart credited for the tackle. It's a pickup of 13 and a Redskins first down.
We saw C.J. Anderson on the drive before, and this time Kapri Bibbs is able to see the cutback. This is an inside zone. Both linebackers get caught up inside. And Bibbs kind of brings an explosive element to this offense. You know, Samaje Perine is more of the power back, the short yardage back, but Bibbs has some nice speed and should be able to open up some holes along that Denver defensive line.
Let's hear some of the boos. Skins fans felt like Bibbs maybe was not down by contact. But it is a first down run nonetheless from the Broncos 25. Cousins well protected over the middle. Pass is caught. And it's Bibbs out of the backfield inside the 20. It's a pickup of 7. Bibbs called up from the Washington practice squad last Tuesday, made his Redskins debut here last week against Arizona. We mentioned the 36-yard touchdown catch in the 5-point win. Entered the league undrafted with Denver after playing collegiately at Colorado State. And today, a lot of inspiration against the team that brought him into the league.
And he knows how to get to the end zone. 42 touchdowns in high school, 30 touchdowns in his last season at Colorado State. So he's a pretty exciting guy with the ball in his hands.
On 2nd and 3, Cousins, little bootleg action, pump fakes, he's going to run for it. And fake like he was going to throw at the last instant, but had already crossed the line of scrimmage at that point. This is a first down run by Cousins. Shaquille Barrett on the tackle as he picks up 3, and they move the sticks again.
They're going to take a look at that one tomorrow and say, you know what, Kirk, maybe you should just try and throw that one away. They try to get it going downfield on a play action pass. There was nobody open downfield, and you don't want your quarterback taking shots along the sideline from Shaquille Barrett.
Another fine statistical season, most career rushing yards for Cousins in his 6th NFL season. Cousins end zone, back corner incomplete. Intended for the tight end Vernon Davis. We go back to New York. Here's James Brown.
The 24-yarder by Kareem Hunt set this up.
Yeah, if he gets you down there, you got to reward him. 1-yard TD by Kareem Hunt. How about Kansas City? They lead 17-6.
The Chiefs win, and the division title is theirs. Spiro Ditas, Adam Archuleta.
What a crazy year it's been in the AFC West. Kansas City, the 4-0 start, then the long losing streak. But it's all in front of him here in Week 16.
Yeah, thank goodness for that hot start. It gave him a little margin for error, and here in the last 2 weeks have been able to turn it around again.
Could be the final play before the 2-minute warning. 2nd and 13 over the middle. It's caught. Jamison Crowder for the Washington touchdown.
Beautiful route running inside from Crowder, who just breaks down Roby, who's trying to cover him from the slot. Roby is expecting help from his inside linebacker, who looks to the other side, but just a beautiful piece of route running to get the separation. Perfect timing and accuracy from Cousins, and a job well done.
15 yards on the pass by Cousins. 2nd straight week for Crowder with a touchdown reception. This one from 15 yards. And for Cousins, his 97th career touchdown pass. Point after by Hopkins is good. Skins by 7. We'll be back in 30 seconds after this from State Farm. Kirk Cousins and Washington taking advantage of Denver's turnover, the 29th Denver turnover of the season, as we mentioned. That has been a major Achilles heel for Vance Joseph's offense this season. 15-yard touchdown catch by Jamison Crowder. Now the 5-yard touchdown reception in the win here over Arizona last week, and he keeps it going here in week 16.
I thought that was pretty interesting. They put Roby inside. That's normally Chris Harris Jr. who plays in the slot. And Chris Harris was on the other side covering Samaje Perine. And so I just don't think that's the kind of matchup that you want to use your defensive backs in.
Devontae Booker watches this one go through the back of the end zone. So the fumble by Osweiler giving Kirk Cousins and company the short field. This was the turnover as it just squirted through Osweiler's hands.
That's all on Osweiler. Nobody, that's really an unforced error. It was a tight seam to try and get up inside, but got to take care of the football. And how about that? Kirk Cousins comes back, answers, and puts the Redskins on the board for their first touchdown. Beautifully done.
Could be the final play before the 2-minute warning. Anderson. Minimal pickup as he tries to find some daylight. 2-minute warning. Landover, Maryland. 7-point lead for the Skins on CBS.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Hanes with Fresh IQ Advanced Odor Protection Technology. And by Tostitos. Tostitos gives back to Salvation Army.
Reminder to keep it here for the Verizon Halftime Report. We'll send you to New York. JP, Phil, Nate Boomer, and Coach. Get you caught up around the league. Week 16 on the Verizon Halftime Report. 2nd and 9. Osweiler to his check down. This is Booker eluding tacklers. What a maneuver by Booker in the open field. Close to the 50. Finally brought down by Zach Vigil after a pickup of 20. And now Denver will take its first timeout. That'll set up a 1st and 10. We'll break back in 30 seconds right after this. Back with you from FedEx Field here in Landover, Maryland. 7-point Washington lead. Denver with 2 timeouts left. We'll have it 1st and 10 from their own 45. Brock Osweiler, 4th start of the season, 8 for 12, 85 yards with a fumble on their last drive. Set up the Washington touchdown. This is Booker again, weaving his way inside Washington territory, as it has been Anderson and Booker out of the backfield to this point for the Broncos. Booker picks up 7, and a late flag is thrown. Saw some jawing at the end of the play.
Delay of game defense, number 72, knocked the ball out of the player's hand. It's a 5-yard penalty. The clock will start on the snap. 2nd down.
That's Anthony Lanier II, who had the big 2-sack performance in the win last week. Can't do that. And he's called here for a delay of game. Actually looked like Josh Harvey Clemens who kind of batted the football away. Harvey Clemens, the rookie, 7th-round pick out of Louisville. And mark off the yardage in Denver's favor nonetheless. 1st and 10. Osweiler from the gun, hit on the release. That pass is intercepted. DJ Swearinger making a play for Washington.
Well, Ryan Kerrigan is just wearing out Donald Stevenson. This one is just a straight bull rush as he's coming off of the edge, and he's going to drive him right back into Osweiler and stick his hand up at the very last moment to affect his pass. I mean, Kerrigan just absolutely overpowers Stevenson, and DJ Swearinger is in just the right spot to come up with a big interception.
4th interception of the season for Swearinger, who has been terrific. The former 2nd-round pick of Houston, who signed that big 3-year free agent contract in the offseason. So back-to-back turnovers by Denver, their 30th of the season. Cousins pass over the middle is caught. Ryan Grant who had a couple of big catches earlier. A pickup here of 4. As Washington plays with all 3 timeouts and $1:15 left in the half.
A short pass, so really don't want to waste a timeout here. But if this next pass comes down in bounds, expect Cousins to call his first timeout.
On 2nd and 6, Cousins hit on the release. And that ball just squirts out of his hands. It's ruled an incompletion, or is it here? I'm not sure if a whistle was blown. It's Bradley Roby who picked it up, and now they're signaling Denver football. It was Von Miller who forced it out of the hands of Cousins. And let's see what the officials determine here. Now they say incomplete.
It's 3rd down.
I think this is going to be close, and seeing it live, I'm going to lean on this as a fumble. The arm's going back, and the way I see it, before Cousins starts his forward motion, that ball comes out.
Thank you.
But both of these outside rushers, Ryan Kerrigan for the Redskins and Von Miller for the Broncos, are just wearing out the right tackles.
Still taking a closer look at this upstairs, of course, inside of 2 minutes. So things have to be initiated by the booth, and now it looks like they will take another look at this, or Denver perhaps will take a timeout to try to give them some more time to look at it, perhaps.
That's their second.
Upstairs, so this will be Denver's second timeout, and it will be 3rd and 6 for the Redskins. Adam, I'm with you. This, to me, looked like it was still coming back and not forward, which would result in a fumble and a live football.
You get into that gray area where it has to be the call on the field was ruled an incomplete pass. And so is it clear and obvious that something different happened? I know it's awfully close, and if it was called a fumble on the field, it would stand as a fumble, but I think the Denver Broncos got robbed on that one.
So 3rd and 6 here. We'll see if Jay Gruden now goes conservative, as Washington still has all 3 of its timeouts left. 65 seconds left before halftime. Low snap. Dangerous play. Cousins just falls on the football. And things getting even hairier for Washington. A loss of 12 on the play. And now Denver will take its final timeout.
We got Chase Roulier, the center. They've had a lot of different centers. That was a low snap, but that was, well, I see it just Cousins in a lapse of concentration. Didn't look the ball into his hands, and a disaster.
So they'll send out their punt unit. Tressway will punt. Another reminder, the Verizon halftime report comes your way next. JB and the fellas standing by in New York. And get you caught up around the league here in week 16 as the playoff picture starts to take shape. This is a decent Washington bounce, as Denver will have good field position out of timeouts just outside their own 40-yard line. This was the reaction by Cousins after that last sequence. And that pretty much summarizes the season. This was Osweiler earlier after the fumble, the first of their 2 turnovers, lighting into his teammates on that bench.
Got to get fired up. Got to go out there and make some plays. Don't just talk about it on the sidelines. Go out there and make it happen.
So 52 seconds left in the half. Osweiler and company begin from their own 42. Steps up in the pocket, slings it over the middle and incomplete. Intended for Benny Fowler, who moves up into that number 2 wide receiver position today with the absences of both Emmanuel Sanders and Cody Latimer. McManus getting that right leg warmed up. His career long is 57. That was early in the 2015 season. And that would put his target line right around the Washington 39-yard line, so they need about 18 to get there.
We're stopping the game for a medical timeout.
All right. So medical timeout here initiated by the officials.
don't see a player on the field. Now, right now, it's Kendall Fuller who they're taking off the field. Maybe they thought that as he dove on that last play that his helmet hit the ground, and maybe somebody made a call to take him out of the game and evaluate him for a concussion.
By the way, to go back to that Kirk Cousins play that was ruled an incompletion, Al Riveron telling me with a text message they did not have enough to overturn the call and rule it a fumble. And so Riveron in New York electing to confirm the call that was made on the field. Vance Joseph, of course, could not challenge it because we are inside the 2-minute mark. So there's the explanation from Riveron, the head of officials in New York. 2nd and 10. Osweiler throws back across the field. This is Anderson trying to get out of bounds and stop the clock quickly, and he does just that. 40 seconds left. Denver playing without any timeouts, so pickup of 4, and it will be 3rd and 6.
Well, you saw on the first down, Osweiler was working the middle of the field. They still can work the middle of the field if it is in fact completed, and they kind of get around that field goal range. They'll be able to spike the ball and still have about 15, 16 seconds on the clock. Time for one more player shot at the end zone.
Here come the Skins on the blitz. They pick it up, and that pass is caught over the middle. It's Jordan Taylor. All the way down to the 30, but that clock is moving. 27 seconds and counting. A pickup of 22 on the Osweiler pass. Quickly scurries him to the line of scrimmage and does it very quickly with 22 seconds left.
That was a really good job of getting to the line, getting set up, and then snapping it and spiking it. I thought a little bit more time would run off. So now you're sitting here with about 23 seconds left. You can throw this ball and get a first down in the middle of the field and still have time to spike it and kick a field goal, but expect this ball to go to the sideline.
For Taylor, only his 7th catch of the season. 2nd and 10. That pass from Osweiler is incomplete. Intended for Fowler, trying to maneuver up the sidelines. 16 seconds left in the half.
Oh, and they almost had it. Fowler has the defensive player beat. That's Josh Harvey Clemens. He's behind him by about 3 or 4 steps, and Osweiler has to be able to put some air under that ball and allow his receiver to run under it and come down with a catch. Missed opportunity by Osweiler.
Well, they're inside of McManus's range here. 3rd and 10. Osweiler's pass near side is caught. That's Isaiah McKenzie. McKenzie, though, not getting out of bounds. And I'm not sure they're going to be able to stop this clock.
Can't spike it.
Huge mistake by McKenzie, and that will bring us to halftime. Isaiah McKenzie, who has been in and out of Vance Joseph's doghouse, the muffed, fumbled punts. Active today with the absence of both Emmanuel Sanders and Cody Latimer. Did not have the presence of mind to get out of bounds and stop the clock as the Broncos come up empty. Halftime, 7-point Washington lead. The Verizon halftime highlights coming up next after this from your local station. Merry Christmas, happy holidays from Landover, Maryland. 10-3 Washington as we get you set for the second half. Spiro Thetis and Adam Archuleta back with you here on CBS. Frustrating end of the first half for Denver. Brock Osweiler has the Broncos driving. Isaiah McKenzie unable to get out of bounds. We'll go through that sequence in a moment, but your thoughts on the first half and how Denver can get back in it.
Well, I thought Denver was able to run the ball extremely well. 99 yards, averaged 5.2 yards per carry, but it was, the 2 turnovers, back-to-back drives there before halftime that really hurt the Broncos. And I think for the Redskins, it was early mistakes and penalties, bad field position, but thought as the game went on in the second quarter, Cousins started to develop a rhythm for this offense.
All right, Denver will kick it away to begin the second half. Obvious frustration on the face of Osweiler and Vance Joseph as they trotted into the locker room as the Skins maintain their touchdown lead. Good looking burst On the run back by Niles Paul. This was the end of half sequence. Isaiah McKenzie, no timeouts, has to get out of bounds.
Just a rookie mistake. Situational football, has not been in that position or hasn't been coached in that position. It should have been something in the huddle or before the snap. Everything should have been communicated. Hey, if you catch the ball, get to the sideline as soon as possible. That didn't happen, and they lost a chance to be able to kick a field goal for 3 points.
Saw the reactions by both Osweiler and Joseph. McKenzie was inactive the last few weeks, but today forced to be up and on the active roster because of the injuries that they have. They're so thin at wide receiver. No Emmanuel Sanders and Cody Latimer. Another player making the trip. Sanders out with that bothersome ankle injury, and a lot for that young man McKenzie to think about as the Skins with a run play to begin. Samaje Perine on the opening play of the second half. There is McKenzie losing his punt return job after the turnover issues earlier in the season to Jordan Taylor. Cousins from the gun on 2nd and 8, throws a dart. This is Crowder, who had the first half touchdown reception, a pickup of 16 as the Redskins move the sticks.
Really nicely designed play from the Washington Redskins. They're going to motion Crowder over, and the Broncos are playing in and out coverage between Chris Harris Jr. and Bradley Roby, but Crowder goes as if he's going to the outside and then breaks across Roby's face, and a nice pass from Cousins.
So Washington team at 6 and 8. 3-2 start to the season, but that 2-6 stretch that knocked them out of playoff contention. Good looking catch by Samaje Perine, a pickup of 8. Perine, if you've just joined us, tweaking his groin injury in practice on Thursday, was a question mark today, but has been their starter and has been the workhorse up till this point.
Yeah, with Capri Bibbs in this game, they played 7 different running backs this season. That's how many guys have been injured. Of course, they lost Rob Kelly and Chris Thompson, who was so important to this football team. Perine is that inside physical runner that they've been able to use.
On 2nd and 2, this is Perine trying to find the edge, but a good push. Will Parks up from his strong safety position, making a terrific defensive play. Loss of 4.
This kind of play isn't really suited for a back like Perine. He's not the fastest of backs. This is a guy that wants to go downhill. He wants to be physical inside, but trying to pull the guards and the tackles and get him to the perimeter, I don't think is a great use of Samaje Perine.
What does Drake Gruden dial up here on 3rd and 6? It's Grant in motion. Here come the Broncos. Cousins steps up, and Hayes, Grant, plenty of real estate in front of him. Finally tackled at the Denver 20. Jamal Carter, the undrafted rookie, on this touchdown-saving tackle, but not before Grant burns him for 34.
Same route they ran earlier with Crowder. This time, Roby gets over the top, and because Kirk Cousins escapes the pocket, the secondary for Denver come up to try and play the quarterback run, and they completely lose Grant coming open over the middle.
Saw Cousins scurry them up quickly for the snap, trying to catch that Denver defense off balance. Capri Bibbs on the play, tackled by Deontrez Mount of that Denver linebacker unit.
Those are the plays that the Redskins need to try and get Denver out of their man coverage, and when they switch to zone, that's when they can try and attack with big plays down the field.
Cousins under pressure, hit on the throw, and that second down pass is incomplete. Intended for Josh Doctson, as those two have just not been able to get on the same page. Von Miller applying the heat for Denver. And it will be 3rd and 9.
It's just such a hard play to try and attack Von Miller with. You know, they try and put a blocker on him, fake the run to the other side, but he's so good and so athletic and recognizes plays so well that he's able to get to Cousins before he can set up and throw the football.
See what Miller has done. Selected to his 4th straight Pro Bowl this week and the 6th of his career. Skins 3 of 8 on 3rd downs. Cousins here on 3rd and 9. Off the seam over the middle. It's caught. Down to the 10-yard line. This will be enough for a Washington first down. That's Brian Quick with only his 6th catch of the season, a pickup of 9 to set up a 1st and goal.
Force the Broncos into zone coverage because they've had success on their man routes on 3rd down, and you see how soft it is outside. Quick goes inside, breaks to the outside, and because the cushion is so soft, they can't rally up and make the tackle before he picks up the 1st down.
Ninth play of the drive. They keep it on the ground here. This is Pirine, tackled by Zach Kerr. As Washington do it behind a offensive line playing without its usual starting left tackle. The All-Pro Trent Williams shut down this week with the knee injury. Ty Nsekhe, the 3rd-year man out of Texas State, starting for his 2nd straight week. And it will be 2nd and goal.
Good place for some play action. Try and get the linebackers to step up.
Cousins all day to throw, going end zone, and he is intercepted by Will Parks. And that's one Cousins will want back. Parks is there for the Broncos. And an impressive Washington drive ends with a turnover. Well, for Kirk Cousins, only his 9th interception thrown this season. 1st turnover committed on the day by Washington. So Osweiler and company begin from their own 20. After the pick by Parks. Osweiler is buried, and guess who? It's Ryan Kerrigan again. He has been a monster. First Redskin to record consecutive double-digit sack seasons since Dexter Manley and Charles Mann back in '85 and '86.
Oh, unbelievable. He was working on the right side of the Denver offense in the 1st half. This time he lines up against their left tackle, Garrett Bowles, and completely runs him over en route to the quarterback. Unbelievable by Ryan Kerrigan so far in this game.
A loss of 10 pushes him back to the 10-yard line. That pass from Osweiler is batted down and incomplete. Now, this was such a great little scene in the pregame. Ryan Kerrigan coming out for his warm-ups. Noticed that a young fan was holding up a sign saying, "All I want for Christmas is to meet Ryan Kerrigan." And just look at the reaction on the face of this kid after he realizes that his hero has come over to acknowledge him.
That's sweet.
Little Cole Hewitt.
That's great.
And that'll be a moment that that young kid will not forget anytime soon. What a nice job by Ryan Kerrigan. This is Devontae Booker just trying to get Denver's punt team some breathing room as they will send out their punter, Riley Dixon, after a pickup of 7. Kerrigan, one of 5 Pro Bowlers between these two teams. Of course, Von Miller and Aqib Talib, Brandon Sheriff, one of the few bright spots, and Trent Williams, who is not playing today. Yeah, I look at Ryan Kerrigan and I see Seth MacFarlane. Now, I don't know if you agree. You're a great comic. Maybe a little bit.
Maybe.
Maybe I'm reaching.
A little reach. It's all right.
We hit the 8-minute mark. Good looking punt by Dixon, and Jamison Crowder signals fair catch. 48 yards in the punt by Dixon. Redskins leading Denver by 7 on CBS.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Southwest Airlines. Low fares, no hidden fees. That's transparency. State Farm, here to help life go right. And by Verizon, best gifts on the best network.
Merry Christmas, happy holidays from Landover, Maryland. 10-3 Redskins as they lead the Broncos here middle of the way through the third quarter. Kirk Cousins and the Skins back on the field. This is Perine out of the backfield. Adam, take us back to that Cousins interception.
Yeah, this is one that he's going to want back. He's trying to hit Doctson at the end line, but he stares it down the entire time, and that leaves the backside safety, Will Parks, who just reads him. And as you watch this play develop, you're going to see 3 Denver Bronco jerseys in the area. Cousins staring it down, and then Parks just breaking from the other side of the field and gets an easy interception.
Parks has had some big moments, starting in place of Justin Simmons, who they had to shut down a couple of weeks ago with that ankle injury. Making a huge defensive play for the Broncos. That pass is caught. That's Bibbs out of the backfield. First down and more for the former Bronco. Forced out of bounds by Talib and Brandon Marshall. And Bibbs, after a shaky start, has made some huge plays. 21 yards here on the catch and run.
Yeah, this is, part of the offense that was so important were the backs and the tight ends for the Redskins. Rob Kelly, Chris Thompson, Jordan Reed. This offense heavily relied on getting the ball to those players coming out of the backfield. I think Bibbs is a guy now that may have a chance to have a pretty good future in that kind of a role.
On 1st and 10, they hand it to Bibbs. Todd Davis on the tackle. We told you about Bibbs. Activated from the Skins practice squad last Tuesday, made his Redskins debut last week. He came into the league with Denver undrafted in 2014. That first year on their practice squad, was on their Super Bowl roster in 2015. Last year, 12 appearances. That's a big 69-yard catch on a Monday night against Oakland. And was cut in camp in the preseason with San Francisco. He waited 10 weeks to get the call. Finally signed in November by Washington to their practice squad, and here he is facing his old team in only his second game with the Skins. Cousins throwing a dart. That's Doctson inside the Denver 30. It'll be a 1st and 10 after a pickup of 14 as Cousins putting his back into it.
Love how they attack the linebacker. You're going to see Vernon Davis come inside, and then Brandon Marshall is going to bite up. So Marshall now cannot sink back into that window, and that's where Doctson is able to sit down and Cousins hits him. So that's a combination route, a high-low read, and Cousins made the right move.
Jay Gruden told us this week we need to start seeing Josh making some plays down the field. That's his first catch of the afternoon. That pass is caught. This is Jamison Crowder. As Cousins now continues to go at this number 2 passing defense in the NFL. Certainly dealing with some injuries back there. And another play down the field, a pickup of a dozen.
Yeah, very smart for the Redskins to maybe now start attacking inside and get away from the Denver Bronco corners in Chris Harris Jr. and Aqib Talib. Work on the linebackers and the safeties.
They were down here on their last trip, just inside the red zone with Cousins through that last pick. 1st and 10, here come the Broncos. Cousins throwing towards the end zone, incomplete. A little bit too far in front of the tight end, Niles Paul. It was Brandon Marshall with him step for step.
It was really well covered by Brandon Marshall, and they're trying to pick Marshall from the inside. He has to get over the top and is in great shape, great position. Paul tries to lay out for it, but no room.
Denver defense has had to spend so much time on the field. Still lead the league in total yards allowed. Top 5 against the run and the pass, but starting to break down late stages of the season as that fatigue really starts to set in. Brandon Marshall on the tackle of Bibbs, a pickup of a half dozen. And a big call coming up here for Jay Gruden on 3rd and 4.
Well, the good news is that they've started to have a little bit of success on 3rd down. First, beating the man coverage principles of the Denver Broncos defense, and then being able to attack some zones. So Jamison Crowder has been the guy in these situations, and he's been reliable, especially in this game here today. So I'd expect number 80 to be involved in this down in some way, shape, or form in the slot to the right.
Second straight week with a touchdown catch earlier in this game. Cousins from the shotgun, 3rd and 4, throws end zone, incomplete. Looking in the direction of Doctson. Well covered, and Cousins a little bit off with that pass.
You know, there really wasn't a great window to throw this ball into because of the body position inside for Bradley Roby. You would love for Doctson to maybe try and cross his face a little bit more to the inside, but I thought Roby was in great shape underneath.
Roby has really started to come into his own. 4th-year player, former first-round pick out of Ohio State. Had his 17th pass defensed earlier. Ties the most by a Bronco defender in the last 10 years. 29-yard field goal from Dustin Hopkins is good. 10-point Redskins lead. Tonight, the Catholic monks who have been protecting ancient religious works from ISIS. A survival story tonight on 60 Minutes, only CBS. Merry Christmas from our nation's capital. Short drive from Washington, D.C. here in Landover, Maryland, FedEx Field, as the Redskins tack on 3 and push their lead to 10 with 3 and change left in quarter number 3. This one is fielded by Devontae Booker. And well played down the field by that kick team for the Redskins. Well, our CBS family and the entire sports world has been mourning the loss of a sports broadcasting legend and a dear friend to so many of us at CBS as Dick Enberg passed away this week at the age of 82. Dick's prolific career in sports broadcasting spans 60 years, calling Super Bowls, national championships, Wimbledon. He chronicled some of the most memorable moments in the history of the Masters, and he covered it all so eloquently and so brilliantly like no other. Dick Enberg will always be remembered. Our thoughts and prayers with his wife Barbara and their family, as they have to deal with a tough Christmas. And you know, Enberg of course chronicled some of the iconic moments in the career of John Elway. This was Elway's quote this week on Dick's passing. He said, quote, "My deepest sympathies to Dick's family and friends. It was an honor to have his voice chronicle some of the greatest moments in Broncos history and of my football life." Of course, the fumble, the drive, as they shattered the Cleveland Browns' hearts in those back-to-back postseason seasons. And Dick Enberg on our minds, so many of us at CBS this week, as Osweiler slides out, and will get the Broncos to the 26 with a pickup of 5. Osweiler now trying to put the frustrations of those 2 turnovers on consecutive possessions behind him, and also the way that first half ended.
He's got to do it by now picking up this first down. Devontae Booker has been really nice out of the backfield. Here he is taking kind of a wide split to the bottom of the screen with a close wide receiver. Watch number 23 getting involved on this play.
So Booker the lone setback, 3rd and 2. Will read option play, and Booker will indeed have enough for the Denver first down. So here's Osweiler making the start. Trevor Siemian, of course, the left shoulder injury last week. They shut him down. Paxton Lynch not quite ready to make the start and return, although he is active. But for Osweiler, his 4th start of the season, and a really big moment for him late in the season as he tries to stake his claim to this job long term. 1st and 10 from the 28. This is Anderson again, and he is stuffed. Martrell Spate lead the charge for the Skins, a loss of 2.
Now, we've talked a little bit about these linebackers, and Spate certainly has been attacked somewhat in this game, but you know, where he really excels is inside the tackle box, inside the A gaps and the B gaps, and when he hits the line of scrimmage and presses the hole, he's made some really nice plays for this defense.
Told you earlier, it's a Washington defense playing without Zach Brown, the league leader in tackles entering week 16. On 2nd and 12, Osweiler is sacked again. It's Kerrigan. 3rd time they've gotten Osweiler. And sack number 2 for the Pro Bowler Kerrigan.
You don't think there's anything to play for here for any of these players. You are clearly mistaken. Ryan Kerrigan, one more time, just straight gets after Donald Stevenson. overpowers him, gets him on his heels, and then hits him to the inside. And these tackles here in this game for the Denver Broncos do not have an answer or a chance against Ryan Kerrigan this afternoon. They got to get some help.
So Cole Hewitt watching his hero doing it for the Skins. Osweiler's pass, little check down to D'Angelo Henderson. First time we've called his number today. Henderson, the 6th round pick and rookie out of Coastal Carolina. That's what you call using your head.
It's pretty jacked up here for late December too, right?
That'll take us to the end of the third in Landover. 10-point lead for the Redskins. Back with you from FedEx Field. Start of the fourth quarter between the Redskins and the Denver Broncos. Another drive for Denver stalls, and so Riley Dixon, who's become very busy, will punt from right around his own 15-yard line. Spiro Dedes, Adam Archuleta, our producer Seller Shy, and Jim Cornell, our director, rest of our CBS crew. Wishing everyone a happy holiday and Merry Christmas. Jamison Crowder trying to walk a tightrope around the sideline after the 53-yard punt by Dixon. Well, the Denver Broncos nominee for the 2017 Walter Payton NFL Man of the Year award is cornerback Chris Harris Jr. Earlier this month, Harris helped spread some holiday cheer to over 100 families at the Denver Rescue Mission's annual Christmas party, where he posed for pictures and helped decorate holiday cookies with the children and their families. Harris and his wife Leah founded the Chris Harris Jr. Foundation in 2012. They help provide underprivileged youth with unique opportunities that help them achieve their goals. He has done some incredible work in that Denver community. Was out and about a couple of days this week to try to raise money for those children in need. And a tip of the cap to Harris and his wife Leah. Nice maneuver up the sideline by Samaje Perine. Boy, I tell you what, for a guy who's dealing with a groin injury, Perine has looked pretty good in some open field situations as he runs for the first down.
Yeah, and really he's leading the team in rushing, 547 yards. He had 15 carries a week ago against the Arizona Cardinals. Now, he only ran for about 2.5 yards per carry, but at the end of the game really had some tough runs inside that helped the Redskins close it out.
Fourth among NFL rookie running backs in rushing yards is Perine. This is Cousins finding Jeremy Sprinkle, the rookie 5th-round pick out of Arkansas, as we go to New York and an update with JB and Nate.
Chargers on the ground.
That's right, JB. Melvin ground game. Gordon, he gets in a little bully ball for the 1-yard TD. The Chargers, they lead 14-7 over the Jets.
Bully ball. Boy, Nate's adding to the vocabulary here. Back to Spiro and Adam.
Man, Nate's on fire today, isn't he?
He sure is.
Excited about the Chargers' late season resurgence after an 0-4 start. 2nd and 4. There's Perine again finding the edge. Perine moving that Denver defense backwards. Another run that'll move the sticks for the Skins. A pickup of 8.
Let's run right behind your tight end. Off tackle. Brilliant job by the right side of the Redskins to kind of seal it off. Morgan Moses gets up on a linebacker. A beautiful block on the outside by the tight end, Jeremy Sprinkle. And Samaje Perine is able to hit the corner on the Denver Broncos.
Perine, that record-setting collegiate career at Oklahoma, became their #1 running back here when Rob Kelly went down and placed on IR with his high ankle/MCL injury in his leg. And Perine has had some moments, back-to-back 100-yard games back in Week 11 and Week 12 against the Saints and the Giants. 4th rounder out of Oklahoma. That record-setting year back in 2014. Had a 427-yard game against Kansas that season. He's a former track star. We know he can move. Has certainly bulked up since his high school/college days, but they've needed whatever he's had for them this season. Adam mentioned the injuries to Chris Thompson, the broken fibula. And of course, Rob Kelly, whom we just mentioned. On 2nd and 6, Cousins taking a shot. Daxon is wide open and strolls into the end zone. 48 yards from Cousins.
One way to get the Broncos in their secondary is by deception and misdirection. You see the problems the motion causes. Lack of communication as Grant comes over in motion. They don't communicate properly, and they completely drop Josh Doctson as he runs right past the cornerbacks en route to an easy touchdown.
Well, that'll be the easiest touchdown catch that he'll ever have. 48 yards, and he had smooth sailing in front of him in what is a major defensive breakdown in that Broncos pass defense. Dustin Hopkins with a point after. 6th touchdown catch of the season for Doctson to lead the Redskins, and Washington poured it on the Broncos on CBS.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Garmin. Get a Garmin smartwatch and beat yesterday. And by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
Well, some of the young Redskin fans getting into the spirit of things. As you see that Redskins scoring drive. 5 plays, 77 yards in just 2 minutes, 41 seconds. 48-yard strike from Kirk Cousins to Josh Doctson for his 6th touchdown catch of the season. And suddenly this is a 17-point Washington lead. Both of these teams will miss the postseason. 2nd straight miss for Denver. And a reminder, next Sunday, the postseason picture will continue to take shape. Playoff berths on the line across the league. Final week of the regular season. You'll ring in the new year with some great doubleheader action. Then JB, Phil, Coach Nate, and Boomer will get you started. Complete playoff picture talk. NFL Today, noon Eastern, right here on CBS. So 20 unanswered points for the Skins after Denver jumped out to that early 3-0 lead. And it has been this Washington defense shutting down Denver till this point. The pass intended for Demaryius Thomas. You see the marker thrown at the end of the play. Martrell Spate was right in the thick of things for Washington.
Before the pass was thrown, holding by the defense, number 36. It's a 5-yard penalty from the previous spot and an automatic first down.
It's DJ Swearinger
Correction,
on
number
the
26.
penalty. And now they changed the call, and they penalized Bashard Breeland. Well, it's been a big day for the Pro Bowl bound Ryan Kerrigan.
He has been all over the place. 4 tackles, 2 sacks, numerous instances where he's pressured Brock Osweiler. He forced an interception earlier in the game. He has been relentless against these Denver Bronco tackles.
On first down, Osweiler goes to his check down. This is Anderson, who's forced out of bounds. We mentioned Kerrigan going to the Pro Bowl, 3rd of his career, 2nd straight. He's the first Redskin linebacker to earn back-to-back Pro Bowl selections since our good buddy and colleague London Fletcher did it between 2009 and 2012. What a stretch, what a player, Adam. He's become the 16th overall pick back in 2011.
Just the consistency from day one and the level that he's been able to produce. And you can say that this has been his most consistent and best season as an outside linebacker for the Redskins. And today he has been out of sight.
On 2nd and 8, this is Anderson. Had the big first half. 70 rushing yards, 2nd biggest total in a first half of his career. In fact, he picks up 11 here and a much needed Denver first down.
I think when things can be a little predetermined for C.J. Anderson, and what I mean by that, when he reads the hole before the play starts based on what the defense is doing, and he's able to hit the line of scrimmage fast, that's when he's at his best.
Here is Anderson again. He keeps coming. Marker thrown from the near side official. Bashard Breeland, who's playing with that sprained shoulder that he sustained last week, was there. It's a pickup of 8 if it
Holding
stands.
offense, number 72. 10-yard penalty from the previous spot. Repeat first down.
That's the rookie left tackle Garrett Bowles penalized. And so that'll wipe away the 8-yard run from Anderson.
right on the edge with one-on-one with Pete Robertson. You're going to see the left hand of Bowles get right around that shoulder pad, and that's why Anderson is able to hit the edge. Easy call on the outside, and someone's coming back.
So 1st and 20 after the penalty. The market just outside the Denver 33. Osweiler from under center. Then to his check down. This is Booker eluding the first tackle to the 37. To New York, JB and Nate.
Patriots capitalized on a pass interference.
That's right. No James White, no Burkhead, no problem. Gillislee, 1-yard TD. That's a former Bill right there, getting to the end zone against his former team. Pats lead 23-16.
Spiro and Adam.
Tightly contested game there in the AFC East. I understand a controversial call on a Kelvin Benjamin touchdown that was overturned in New England's favor earlier. Buffalo looking for what would be a monstrous road win. That play is blown up. Booker is dumped down by Zach Vigil, who's made some big plays today in the absence of both Zach Brown and Ryan Anderson, a loss of 4.
A lot of stuff going on, a lot of deception. You have motion. You're trying to fool the defense from going over to the right side, but Vigil is having none of it. He reads it, he gets underneath the block, and makes contact behind the line of scrimmage. Excellent play by Zach Vigil, the third-year linebacker out of Utah State.
Second straight start in the absence of Brown. 3rd and 21. Little sidearm delivery to Anderson. With nowhere close. Needed the Redskins 47, well short, pickup of only 8. As Josh Harvey Clemens is there for the tackle. And this Broncos offense just cannot get anything going, sustained down the field.
But you really got to hand it to this secondary. There is, remember DJ Swearinger pretty vocal after a couple of poor performances and some big plays by their secondary. But here in the last 2 games, there has been no room for opposing passing attacks.
Jamison Crowder watches it bounce out of bounds inside the 10. 8:53 to play, 4th quarter on CBS.
Hi, I'm Kirk Cousins of the Washington Redskins, and I want to wish everyone a Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays.
Season's greetings from Redskins star quarterback Kirk Cousins, who aside from that interception has put together a nice little afternoon. 18-33. He has completed to 9 different receivers in this game and has thrown 2 touchdowns. This is Samaje Perine. Cousins spreading that wealth around this Washington offense.
Maybe a bit of a slow start for the offense, bad field position, but things started to get gear there towards the end of the second quarter. They're able to light up Denver's secondary for some big plays, had some key third downs, conversions to Jamison Crowder, and then they take advantage of a busted coverage on their last drive, a strike down the sideline to Josh Doxson. So Kirk Cousins doing about what he's done the entire season.
This pass is caught. This is Ryan Grant, who's made some big plays today. Marker thrown, however, from the opposite sideline. Appeared as though Von Miller may have been offside.
Well, I'm telling you, they're going to call Von Miller for offsides.
Defense, number 58. 5-yard penalty. Repeat second down.
But I think he timed this snap up absolutely perfectly. Watch him here at the bottom of the screen. Just as the ball gets snapped, I just think that was him exploding in that fast get off. I don't think that he was offsides. It certainly looked like it, but
So Adam, sometimes it could be too quick for the officials, perhaps.
The gift and the curse, right?
A blatant and quick first step that has made him so deadly over the last 5-6 years. On 2nd and 3, this is Perine again. Perine breaking a tackle. Taking on that Denver defense close to the 30. It'll be first down. Washington, a pickup of 10. Finally brought down by Domata Peko and Darian Stewart. There is a marker thrown. And we'll see if this one is coming back.
After the play was over, personal foul by the offense, number 60, picking off the pile. It's a 15-yard penalty. The down counts. It's third down.
All right, so the foul against Ari Kwanjo at the end of the play. That's dangerous. You see him coming down on the back leg of Darian Stewart. Pecco didn't appreciate it.
See Pecco with a little hand to the throat right there. I don't know exactly what they saw there by Kwanjo, but
First down. The 15-yard penalty is enforced from the dead ball spot, but it is first down, 1st and 10 after enforcement of the penalty.
All right, so the first down is upheld because of the timing of the play, so they'll just tack it on from the spot of the dead ball foul. As you get the explanation from Ed Hockley. So 1st and 10, but they will mark it at the 14-yard line. Here's Bibbs. We asked Kirk Cousins, and everyone wants to know his mindset. He's had to deal with the franchise tag the last couple of years, set to be a free agent again at season's end. And he said, look, I've been dealing with this since high school. Wasn't offered any scholarships, had to prove myself my senior year in high school. Same his last year at Michigan State. Had to prove to NFL scouts and talent evaluators that he was a starting quarterback caliber player. And so this has been something he's been dealing with for a number of years in his football career, going back to his high school days, and turned down that long-term extension offer from the Redskins after last season as he bets on himself for a second straight year.
I think he's past the point of proving himself. I think it's clear to the Redskins, and a number of teams across the National Football League that he is indeed the top quarterback. Maybe after the first year there was a question, can we pay him the kind of money that a top-end quarterback commands? And because they've kind of played this game and have danced this dance, he's found himself, the way I see it, in a pretty good spot and has some great leverage.
Cousins on 3rd and 8 under pressure, putting some air under it far side of the field, and it's incomplete. Is Denver able to apply just enough pressure? Adam Gotsis leading the charge for Denver. This is the 3rd full season since Cousins took over here for Robert Griffin III. Jay Gruden has been very complimentary of how Cousins has handled all the free agency talk and the distractions. And boy, since taking over, Cousins has been one of the most efficient quarterbacks in the NFL. Top of the league in completion percentage and yards per attempt, all the major statistical categories from the quarterback position. And anyone's guess where he's going to be playing next year.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Walmart. Rock this Christmas with Walmart. Cricket Wireless, something to smile about. And by Acura Season Up Performance Event.
Some Christmas ice skating last night at the Washington Harbor Ice Rink along the Potomac River. Merry Christmas, happy holidays to everyone watching today with us. Happy to have you aboard. On 1st and 10, Devontae Booker, football came loose. And now they will rule it an incompletion. Booker unable to squeeze it. And more bad news for this Denver offense. It has been a struggle, to say the least.
But they started the game fairly well, especially in their ability to run the football, but the turnovers really hurt. And so far as the game has gone on, you can see that they really miss Emmanuel Sanders and Cody Latimer. They just haven't been able to get anything going with their wide receivers.
Osweiler is sacked again, number 4 for this Washington defense. Preston Smith able to get to him, his 7th sack of the season.
Smith has been watching Kerrigan have all the fun from the other side. This time he's going to get a chance at the rookie. That one-hand stab rush where he puts the left hand right underneath the neck of the left tackle Garrett Bowles, and he's able to power him back to Osweiler.
Osweiler on 3rd and 12, finding Demaryius Thomas, who's been awfully quiet. Only the 3rd catch of the day for Thomas, a pickup of 10, but they're about 2 yards short. Zach Vigil on the tackle. Where that Preston Smith had a monstrous game last week in the win. Sack, interception, 4 quarterback hits, and a fumble recovery. And it looks like Denver's going to roll the dice, and why not? Down 17 late in this 4th quarter.
Somehow you've got to get this ball to Demaryius Thomas. He's the only guy that you can count on in this situation.
Osweiler under pressure, incomplete. Flag is thrown. Ed Hockley will talk about it with his colleagues. 5:16 remaining, and the Skins by 17.
Illegal formation by the offense. The tight end was covered. The penalty is declined. The ball goes over on downs.
So turnover on downs after the Denver penalty in a 17-point game. 17-point Washington lead as we played late stages of this 4th quarter. Redskins eliminated from playoff contention after their loss week 14 out in LA against the Chargers. They're still trying to get to 500, which would mark the first time they've done it in 3 straight years since 1999 to 2001. Something to hang their hat on as they stare down the barrel of a long off-season. Reminder coming up, the State Farm postgame show from New York. JB Phil, Nate Boomer, and Coach Cowher standing by. They'll whip you around the league here in week 16. It's all coming up on the State Farm postgame show. Denver will burn the first of its 3 timeouts. We've talked about how good this Denver defense has been this year, but they've had a couple of breakdowns today, Adam, in the passing game. This was the long touchdown, Cousins to Doxson earlier in the half.
Yeah, beautiful job by Cousins seeing the busted coverage, and that one's an easy one. I'm not entirely sure exactly why the Broncos, but that was a pretty easy formation to try and cover. You have one guy pressing at the point, 2 guys playing combination coverage, but you know that one's not acceptable if you're a Denver defender.
Beautiful 360-degree views here in Landover as that pass on the bootleg by Cousins is off target. Once again looking down the field at Doxson, who was covered by Chris Harris Jr. It was interesting. One of the other things we talked to Cousins about is how he gets his body right during the course of the week. And he told us usually gets home on a Sunday night, watches the late game, and then Monday he calls his Sabbath. Absolutely no football, doesn't go to the facility, spends the time with his wife and his new baby boy who was born in September. They'll take a little stroll with the dog to spend some family time. Then Tuesday says he gets his body right, a little hyperbaric chamber, massage, takes his sleep very seriously. He is someone who is so meticulous with his mental and physical preparation. As you see, the football came loose. Well, let's see what the officials determine here. Was Perine down by contact? Or will this indeed be ruled a fumble? No signal yet. Football appeared to come out clearly before his knee hit the ground. It was Domata Peko and Von Miller able to strip it for the Broncos.
Yeah, I think it was actually Von Miller is the one that had his right hand on the football. What a play by Von Miller.
And Ed Hockley has confirmed it. It is indeed a fumble and a recovery by the Broncos.
A nice job by Ed Hockley and his crew of getting this one right. But wow, what a play. Von Miller, you know, you look at these veterans on both these teams, no playoffs. A week from now, they're going to get ready to start their offseason. But Ryan Kerrigan on one side, a Pro Bowler, has been phenomenal and relentless. And then Von Miller on the other side has pretty much done the same thing as well. So anybody who says that in meaningless games that there's no reason to play, there's a reason why these two are at the top of their game in this league.
So Miller with the forced fumble and then the recovery. Peko is also there for Denver to get Osweiler and his offense another shot. But they're running out of clock here with under 5 minutes left. Play action, fake handoff to Anderson, and then Osweiler is lit up. What's the ruling here? Was that a fumble, perhaps? You see the near side official asking for help from his colleague, who's Junior Gillette, applying the pressure.
I think it's almost the exact same thing that happened to Kirk Cousins in the first half.
Please reset the clock to 4:52. 4:52.
All right, so the official ruling is an incompletion. Adam, I think you're right.
I mean, it's almost identical. It looked as if the ball came out before he started his forward motion again. Unbelievable. Two of the exact same plays, the same game.
Osweiler on 2nd and 10. That pass is incomplete. Intended for Demaryius Thomas. We go to New York. Update time, JB and Nate.
It was tight in New England.
And now they're starting to stretch it out right here. Check it out. Deion Lewis on the screen route. 12-yard play from Tom Brady. Scored on the last 5 possessions. The Pats, they lead 30-16.
Back to you guys.
All right, New England trying to put together another home win late in the season after the enormous victory that they scored last week in Pittsburgh, albeit in a controversial finish. Osweiler's pass complete over the middle. Booker, football comes loose, and now they say incomplete. Late flag thrown at the end of the play.
Complete.
You saw Connor McGovern getting in a little bit of a tiff with Anthony Lanier, so it is ruled an incompletion, and now they'll talk about it.
Well, that was a great play by DeShazier Everett, the safety for the Redskins, in the open field. A perfect tackle.
The pass was incomplete, and after the play was over, unsportsmanlike conduct by the offense, number 60, 6-0. It's a 15-yard penalty from the previous spot, and it's 4th down.
So incompletion and then unsportsmanlike penalty against Connor McGovern. And it will be 4th down for Denver.
You know, let's see, did something happen after this play?
Right there, that little shove by McGovern.
Because certainly he thought that a Redskin recovered the fumble, and that's why he went to tackle him. So for what it's worth, I thought it was clearly a catch and a fumble. I thought Booker clearly had possession, control of the football.
As Jay Gruden throws out his challenge flag, they will now take a look. Now you have to make the catch, then 2 feet, and then they say catch 2 feet and tie, meaning you have to turn and be ready to make a football play for it to be determined to catch.
Look, I get it, but this is a catch. That's 100%. The way I see it, there's no question that he caught the football, and DeShazier Everett forced the fumble.
Adam, I'm with you. He turned, kind of squared up, made his football move, and then that thing came out. The Redskins this season are 2-4 on challenges. As Jay Gruden throwing that red challenge flag out here. Booker, who dealt with that fractured wrist, cost him all of camp in the preseason, early part of the year. Finally returned in week 4.
So the call on the field was an incomplete pass, and this is where this starts to get a little bit murky because they need clear and obvious evidence to overturn it. I say it's clearly a catch and a fumble.
The receiver possessed the ball and took at least 3 steps. Therefore, it was a complete catch. He fumbled the ball. It was recovered by Washington at the 50-yard line. From the 50, we will enforce the dead ball, unsportsmanlike conduct against Denver. It's 1st down for Washington at the 35-yard line. And no timeouts are charged.
All right, Adam looking into his crystal ball. He can sense the overturn was coming. And turnover number 3 committed by this Denver offense.
Now, I don't agree, however, with the personal foul on Connor McGovern. I'm not exactly sure where that one came from and why they called him for that. but clearly they got the catch right.
Anthony Lanier, the man who recovered for the Redskins. You see the celebration already beginning on that Redskins sideline, but they're not out of the woods just yet with 4:41 remaining. There's Capri Bibbs. Skins will, if they can hold on, get to 7-8. As Denver will take its second time out, try to drag this thing out. Still, of course, have the 2-minute warning, so still plenty of time left. Well, Denver running out of clock, down 17. Well, week 16 coming to a close around the league. We just saw that Buffalo score at New England. You see all the teams in the hunt fighting for that last wild card spot that Tennessee currently possesses. And a big loss for the Bills. Boy, they needed that one badly today, as they will wrap up their season next week in Miami. Here's Bibbs again on second down. We told you about these two teams. They'll both miss the playoffs. Denver will miss the postseason for a second straight year. This will be Denver's final timeout. It just shows you how crazy of a league this is. And we talked to Vance Joseph about how up and down it is. You know, they jump out to that 2-0 start, 3-1. The offense was humming. People were talking about Mike McCoy as being this just incredible offensive coordinator. You fast forward about 10 weeks, McCoy's fired. That 8-game losing streak, and the Broncos are going to miss the playoffs for a second straight year.
It's a cliche for the reason, but nothing really matters in September. And it just shows you how long the season is and how you just have to grind it out and play each game as it comes. But in this league, you just can't take anything for granted.
On 3rd and 6, Cousins off balance throw. Has his man. It's Vernon Davis for the Redskins touchdown. A brilliant pass by Cousins.
Talked about how the Redskins like to take shots to Vernon Davis. In the high red that time, Darian Stewart, who had a great interception earlier, had his eyes in the backfield. And Davis just runs right by him down the field in a beautiful pass under pressure by Cousins to strike for the big play.
Well, that is an incredible physical throw by Cousins under pressure, on the run, throwing across his body. He had Shaquille Barrett bearing down on him. And what a play, as Vernon Davis with the 60th career receiving touchdown catch in his 12-year career. 27-3 as Washington pouring it on with 27 unanswered points.
Now, for a defense that is as good and has the reputation and the numbers as the Denver Broncos, the secondary has played probably their worst game of the season. You've had assignment errors. They've been undisciplined on the outside. And Kirk Cousins and the Washington Redskins have been able to take advantage of it.
Another reminder to keep it here. The State Farm postgame show comes your way next. JB and a crew standing by in New York. Get you all the up-to-the-minute scores here in Week 16. The State Farm postgame show is next. Just one game left for both of these two teams. Denver will be home for Kansas City next week, and the Redskins will play up at MetLife Stadium in East Rutherford against the Giants. And this is the NFC postseason picture,
which looks like it can get really kind of crazy out there. The Lions down by 2 to Cincinnati right now. Carolina down to Tampa Bay. You know, New Orleans is taking it to Atlanta, so this thing could get really crazy before next week.
Well, Jay Gruden will be watching the postseason, something that he says has been very tough over the course of his coaching career. In our chat with him this week, we can be pleased with the performance of his team today. So that we find out a lot about the character of our group over these final 2 weeks, and one more game left at the Giants next weekend.
Defensively especially, they came out and they played a pretty inspired football game, especially the secondary and the back four have been all over the place.
A pass from Osweiler deflected up high in the air. Dangerous moment for Denver, and it will be 3rd and 14.
You know, it just seems like every catch, every passing opportunity is a contested one for the Bronco wide receivers. The Redskins are sitting on everything, and I think without having that kind of deep threat like Emmanuel Sanders, there is nothing to get these defensive backs out of their back pedal and threatened.
Fourth start of the season for Osweiler has been a struggle. Protected well, gets it out quickly and finds Demaryius Thomas. And short of the first down, Bashaud Breeland was there on the tackle, a pickup of 9. And on 4th and 5, the offense will stay on the field.
An easy play for Breeland. Just sit back, let him throw it underneath, come up and make a sure tackle. Breeland had an excellent physical game last week, especially against the run against the Arizona Cardinals.
Osweiler's going to use his legs. He'll run for the first down, and he's got that and more. Now close to midfield. Slides up to the 49-yard line. It's a little trot of 18 yards, and now Osweiler continues down the field, saying that perhaps he was not touched.
Yeah, well, once you start your slide, you're down.
All right, Ed Hockley saying just that, as they will mark it back at the Denver 48.
Could you imagine if you could slide and then just say, all right, hey guys, nobody touched me, let's go.
Osweiler giving himself up, and so they mark it at the 48. Broncos are out of timeouts and nearly out of time. There's Devontae Booker trying to keep that pile going. This will be another Broncos first down. As Denver playing out the string here in week 16, they will finish with a losing record for the first time since 2010. I told you earlier they'll miss the playoffs for a second straight year. And of course, the big decision that they'll have to make is what to do with their starting quarterback position in the offseason. There's Osweiler backpedaling. The hope is that they'll have Paxton Lynch start next week in their week 17 finale at home against Kansas City. Lynch is active today for the first time in 3 weeks. That high ankle sprain that he sustained against Oakland. So they feel like they need to see more of him before they make that big decision in the offseason.
Yeah, and I'll say it again. I just don't think that there's anything that can happen this week or next week that's going to determine what's going to happen with the quarterback situation here for the Denver Broncos.
Perhaps we'll go the free agent route, maybe a trade or even the draft, as that pass intended for Booker is incomplete. Of course, the last time Denver went out and signed a free agent quarterback was 2012 with Peyton Manning, and that obviously ended well. Same year that they drafted Brock Osweiler to be Peyton's backup.
I think it's going to be a pretty fun offseason when you think about it, because, you know, how does this play out for Cousins in Washington? If they do sign him, if they do tag him with the various option, will the team make a play and try and trade for him? You know, Alex Smith potentially going to be out there, maybe Eli Manning. You know, there could be a lot of big-name quarterbacks out on the market at the same time in the offseason.
3rd and 10, nicely thrown by Osweiler right up the seam to C.J. Anderson. 14-yard pickup, and that'll take us to the 2-minute warning, as Denver will have a fresh set of downs when we come back. All Washington on CBS.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by FedEx. Sign up for FedEx Delivery Manager. And by Bud Light, brewed to be enjoyed responsibly.
There's our new friend, our little buddy Cole Hewitt. Got to meet his hero Ryan Kerrigan in the pregame. Kerrigan coming over and signing his jersey. Cole got emotional, and he's had a lot to cheer about with Kerrigan today, having a 2-sack performance. And Cole's getting some good face time. He's going to be a popular kid to school next week.
He earned it.
1st and 10. Osweiler with a fresh set of downs. Little pump fake, goes to his check down. This is Anderson. Able to get out of bounds and stop the clock with 1:53 to play. Denver is out of timeout. So mention the free agent quarterbacks that could potentially be on the open market. Of course, it'll depend and see what the Redskins decide to do. Will they franchise or transition tag Cousins potentially? If not, then he would become an unrestricted free agent. But Alex Smith, Case Keenum, of course, leading that resurgence in Minnesota.
Yeah, Minnesota have to, answer some questions, but I'm sure they're very gladly will delay that as they enter the postseason.
Second down pass is caught. This is Austin Traylor, able to get down to the Washington 5-yard line as Denver finally tries to bust it into the end zone. It's a pickup of 14 yards and only the 8th catch of the season for Traylor. Clock still running. Under 90 seconds left. Anderson busting it in for the Denver touchdown. Anderson from 5 yards out, and the Broncos finally in for 6. Third rushing touchdown of the season for Anderson and the 20th of his 5-year NFL career. Extra point does them no good here, so they'll go for 2. And a $1:18 remaining in the 4th. Osweiler from the gun has Anderson wide open as they convert for 2 points. So Osweiler leads them 75 yards in 11 plays in just over 3 minutes to cut it to 16.
Let's finally got to feel good to put a drive together, get down the field, get into the end zone, utilize your backs, utilize your tight ends. Outside they really haven't had much going, but I tell you, the Redskins defense has made it awfully tough for Osweiler and the rest of the Denver Broncos to operate throughout the course of this game.
Well, if you can get 2 touchdowns and a couple of 2-point conversions, you certainly have seen stranger things happen. 1:18 to play. There's Vance Joseph trying to sort through what his strategy will be here. No timeouts left for Denver.
Yep. Well, there's not much of a strategy. He recovered the onside kick, try and score immediately and do it again. And throw in a couple 2-point conversions.
Lined up here, you see how they handle the kick with Brandon McManus. Here's the onside kick to the far side of the field. It's fielded easily by the Redskins. That's their tight end, Niles Paul. And now Washington will be able to just run this thing out with 1:15 left. And Washington in front comfortably, 27-11. Kirk Cousins, 19-37. 299 yards, 3 touchdowns. And the one lone mistake he made, that late first half interception. Redskins will win it. They'll get to 7-8 on the season. And a long, frustrating year for the Denver Broncos will continue as Vance Joseph's bunch will fall to 5-10. And let those quarterback questions rev up for another week.
Or another 4 months.
Well, the first question will be who's starting week 17, and then the big decision that'll have to be made in the offseason by John Elway and the rest of that front office in Denver at Dove Valley. That'll do it. Washington gets to 7-8 as they defeat the Denver Broncos 27-11. As these two proud NFL franchises come together here in Week 16.
Have to say, a pretty solid performance. Didn't start out great offensively for the Redskins, but as the game went on and they made less mistakes, you saw Cousins be able to get into a rhythm. The defense came out here today and played outstanding football, getting pressure and forcing turnovers. I think the Redskins came out here and accomplished everything they wanted to here today against the Broncos.
Redskins will end their season up at MetLife Stadium next week against the Giants. And Denver will close out at home next weekend against Alex Smith and Kansas City. Multi-sack day for Ryan Kerrigan, the Pro Bowl-bound defensive end. He was terrific, as he has been all season long for this Redskins defense. Again, the final, Redskins 27 and the Broncos 11. Coming up next, the State Farm postgame show from New York. Now for Adam Archuleta, Spiro Diaz saying Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and so long from Landover. We'll send you back to James Brown in New York for all the latest scores and highlights right after this.